Hello, and happy Thanksgiving. Welcome to another episode, a very special Thanksgiving episode of No Huddle Necessary. I am your host, Jeff Barnes, and we are coming to you live once again on a Wednesday night. Now, what's making tonight special is, yes, we're breaking with tradition. All right, we are breaking out fan gear tonight. So if you're at home watching, throw on your favorite jersey and enjoy the episode. I have on my favorite colors. I'm also rocking the Mount St. Michael football hat. Reason being, tomorrow, had it not been COVID, would have been the 78th anniversary Turkey Bowl, Mount St. Michael versus Cardinal Hayes, my alma mater. Unfortunately, we will not play that game because of COVID. Also, this weekend would have also been Bayou Classic, my other school, Grambling. Big football weekend for me when it comes to Thanksgiving. We would have been Grambling and Southern. Unfortunately, that is off to the spring. So, since it is Thanksgiving time, we're talking NFL football. The football jerseys out, the apparel's out. It is time to rock and roll. Let's start bringing everybody in. Coming in first is our NFC East Eagles reporter. We're talking about the young prodigy. We're bringing in Thomas. Thomas, welcome to the show.
I'm glad to be here. I would much rather wear a different jersey this time of year right now, but I think this is fitting for the occasion, giving the fans a chance to see what's good and what's not. So I'm gonna just leave that there.
All right. Well, we got Thomas in. We got to bring in our other NFL draft guru for Nuts and Bolts Sports. We're talking, of course, Mr. Bill Carroll. Bill Carroll, welcome to the show.
Hello there, gentlemen. The excitement is building.
Yes, it is. And finally, we're going to bring in the man that last time he was on the show took it. We're talking about John Meyer. John Meyer is our special guest tonight.
Hey, guys. Apparently, I did not get the football jersey memo. We're wearing the 1992 Minnesota State Pee Wee champion, the D5 Ducks.
Okay.
There you go.
Well, we got the team in the background, guys. We know who the fans are.
Well, yeah, you got him coughing on air. Look at that. But since we're talking football, we're talking Thanksgiving football. What can you say? We got the boys in the house. We got the Marcus Colston Saints jersey in the house, and I'm disappointed that that's not a Deuce Staley jersey. Because that's I don't like that Westbrook guy.
You know what? It's okay. It's okay. I stand for a lot of Eagles fans right now. We don't like a lot of people that are in these jerseys. So
well, I know the quarterback is in a bad spot with you guys, but
the quarterback. The quarterback is the only position. Got it.
Yeah. Well, put it this way: he's the only one that would probably be assaulted in the street if he walked down the streets of Philly alone. But anyway, But with that being said, let's jump on to the first quarter. All right, so, man, oh man, we've got two streaks going right now in the NFL. We've got the undefeated Steelers, and we got the winless New York Jets. So we've had a 16-0 team once before. We've had a 14-0 that went on to go 17-0 and win the Super Bowl. My question to kick this show off to you guys is, can we have both undefeated regular season team in the Steelers and a winless Jets team in the same year? All right, we're going to start this off with Mr. Bill.
Can it happen? Sure, it can. Is it likely? The answer is no. there's so many things that happen in football to not win a single game. Only happened a couple of times in the history of the entire league. And it's extremely difficult to go undefeated. Once again, it's only happened a couple of times in the regular season in the history of the entire league. I believe at some point the Steelers will trip up and lose a game. They're very close already. They'll drop one somewhere. Now the Jets, they might indeed find a way to, to be perfectly imperfect. The Steelers will drop one.
All right. So you believe the Steelers are going to drop one. Can you tell me which game you think they're going to lose?
I've been thinking about that. It's probably not an obvious one, right? The Steelers are fun that way. They'll beat these teams that you think, oh my God, they're going to have a tough time with this team. And then they'll drop one to, I don't know, like the Jacksonville Jaguars or something. I mean, or very, 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 very depleted version of the Ravens they're going to face now on Sunday. I wouldn't be shocked if, there was a strip sack fumble, a couple of interceptions, and the Ravens pulled it out somehow. But I don't think they'll lose this particular game, but I think there's a game down the road. I'm trying to think which game it would be. It'll probably be, like I said, one we're not thinking of. It'll probably be one that no one saw coming. That's usually how these things happen, Jeff. Remember the juggernaut Bears, right? They go 15-1. Who do they lose to? I mean, the Dolphins weren't great that year. That wasn't a great year for the Dolphins. That was kind of the Dolphins' Super Bowl when they knocked off the otherwise, it wasn't like the Bears were squeaking them out too. The Bears were dominating people week in and week out, and then styles make fights. Right.
That's true.
The whole thing about the 46 defense is it's deadly if it gets there, but if you don't get there, everybody's on an island. Everybody's on an island. There's no help coming.
All right. Thomas, come on in.
Oh boy. Where do I start? Do I think the Steelers can go 16-0? Have they shown over the past 10 games that they could stomp anybody, dominate anybody? Unless your name is the Jacksonville Jaguars as of last week or Cleveland earlier on in the season, the answer is no. Okay? And I just want to continue going on with their schedule for the rest of the season. You got the Ravens. You got Washington. You got you're going to Buffalo. You got them going at Cincinnati. Now, obviously, it's not the same because Burrow is out, and I plan on getting into that a little bit later in the show. We got the Colts, and then you got the Browns. Okay, so we're looking at a combined record that is 30+ wins right now. I think one of those games, the Steelers will slip up and lose. It may not be as soon as the Ravens because the Ravens are showing their slippage right now in terms of their defense. So I don't think it'll be then. I think the game that will slip them up the most is against the Colts because they like to wear down their opponents. You saw what they were able to do late against Green Bay, how they were able to use their defense to their advantage. So I think the Colts would be the one to kind of stop the Steelers. The Jets, however, fire Adam Gase, of course. They're playing against nothing but potential playoff teams, okay? They got Dolphins, Raiders, Seattle, Rams, Browns, Patriots, okay? Now, obviously, the Patriots aside, we're looking at potential playoff teams here. And so with that being said, these teams would have something to play for. And plus, especially with the extended playoff picture this year where there's 7 teams, now there's even more motivation to win that last game because you might need it. It might be a turning point in who may get the first seed or whatever case may be. So the Jets, the possibility of them going 0-16 is much higher than the Steelers going 16-0. But I think Pittsburgh might have a loss on their way.
All right, good stuff. Good stuff. John, come on and close this one out.
This would probably be the most 2020 thing that football could do. We could throw a 16-0 team, and not a dominant 16-0 team and an 0-16 team. But I think the short answer here is no. I don't think it's going to happen, and it's not the Jets' fault this time. Surprisingly, I believe the Jets will go 0-16. They're not going to beat Miami this weekend. They're not going to let Las Vegas win next week, or they're not going to lose to Las Vegas next week. They're not making it out to the West Coast to lose to either, or to beat either Seattle or the Rams. Cleveland could do something Cleveland-like and lose to the Jets, but I don't think it's going to happen. And the easiest game on their schedule remaining is going to Foxborough. That is 2020. The easiest remaining game for the Jets is at New England, and they're not winning that one. So 0-16 is in the future. I fully expect for the New York Jets. They're totally inept offensively, last in total yards and points per game and passing yards, 26 rushing. The ageless Frank Gore is still out there running the ball somewhat effectively. Defensively, they're slightly better. They're only 31st in points per game and 29th against the pass, and a respectable 11th against the run. But they're just so bad, and they get that Trevor Lawrence sweepstake. Congratulations to the 0-16 Jets in that. On the flip side of that coin, the Steelers, I thought they had an easier schedule down the stretch. That is not the case, which Thomas has alluded to. They could lose 2, 3, 4 games out of these last 6. Buffalo looks like the toughest game remaining for them. I think they have the most potent offense who could give them a little bit of struggles there. Indy's tough defensively. We know how great the Steelers are on the defensive side of the ball, but they're pretty pedestrian on the offense outside of scoring points. And I guess that's the effectiveness that you need in the NFL, is to score those points. But I just don't see them going 16-0. With the Chiefs there in the background, I want to see them lose a game somewhere, with that number 1 seed being so important this year. So I see 14-2 in their future, which is great in this season, but not 16-0.
Man, nobody's biting the undefeated bullet, huh?
It's crazy hard to go 16-0, man.
It's
really hard.
It's also hard to go 0-16. It's only happened.
Normally, I would agree with you.
The Jets and Adam Gase are making it look easy.
I just want to put this into perspective for why we're all saying that the Steelers aren't a legitimate undefeated team. And what I mean by that is how are they beating these opponents? These aren't, stomping out the gate, 30-point victories, playing against top teams in the NFL. These are games where just 2 weeks ago they almost lost to Dallas. Like, are you serious? It's games like that makes you think, are they really legitimate? And even with the Jets on the flip side, you still see them play competitively. But as last week will tell you, against the Chargers, they'll find a way to give the game to you. It doesn't matter. It's something that we take into consideration. That's why, I know me personally, I just can't take the Steelers being 16-0 right now. I just can't.
Are you saying Garrett Gilbert isn't a top-notch quarterback to knock off an undefeated team?
Stop. You better stop. You, John, don't do this. Don't do this, John.
I'm gonna say it in my Al Pacino voice. On any given Sunday, you can win or lose. It's whether you can lose like a man. Okay, so plain and simple, it would be. And John, I'm going to dispute you on one fact. Okay, it would definitely be 2020 to see both 16-0 and 0-16.
Yeah.
But it would be even more 2020 to go 16-0 and then lose after the bye. That would be so 2020.
I was going to say both ways, and we'll have 1-15 with the win against the Browns, and 15-1 with a loss against the Browns in back-to-back weeks. But it just didn't seem right.
Indeed.
Oh,
Well,
I feel like he's gonna jinx him.
we're going to move on to the success and futility, and we're going to ride the train in a minute, folks. We're going into the second quarter. Second quarter, if you haven't noticed, the hype train is out, folks. That's right. The Taysom Hill hype train is in full go. All right. The Saints came out and won last week with Taysom Hill at quarterback. And if you've been watching the media everywhere, the Taysom Hill love fest is in full swing. So, my question to you guys when it comes to the hype train, are you on board or are you letting it pass? All right. So, Bill, you started us off the last one. This time it's going to be John. John, what are you doing with the hype train when it pulls into the station?
Unfortunately, I think I'm going to let it pass. And I want to say a lot of good things about Taysom Hill because I like the guy. I like that he is just a football player's football player. He tries to do anything to help his team win. I think that's kind of instilled at him with his faith and where he went to school at BYU. It just seems like the program that Kalani Sitake and then Brocco Mendenhall had before, and go way, way back to Lavelle Edwards. You know, just those BYU kids have that just intricate, you know, tenacity to win football games, to put it all out on the line. And I really, I want the kid to be successful. I just, you know, when I look at him, I just don't see an NFL quarterback. I see a guy who plays the position good. He's just not the details and the attributes that you look for a starting NFL quarterback. I just don't see it. I know the guy passed for 75% on Sunday, did some things really well. I just have a hard time thinking that he's the heir apparent to Drew Brees. You know, he's going to be 31 years old next year if Drew Brees even retires this year. So, you know, do you want that to be your heir apparent if you're a New Orleans Saints fan, or do you want to, you know, look at some of these younger kids who are out there and find your next 12 to 15 year player for your organization? And I just don't think Taysom Hill's that guy. You know, he fumbles a lot. But, you know, he's going to have a job in the NFL. You're paying him well. He's going to make $16 million next year. I just don't think he is the heir apparent to Drew Brees. And it's no knock on the guy as a player. He's just not an NFL starting quarterback, in my opinion.
All right. Thomas, you're up.
You know what? I like to bring some optimism into the building. He doesn't have to be a starting quarterback, but I'm on board. Okay, I'm on board with the Taysom Hill train. Okay, let me explain. Let me break it down a little bit. Okay, Taysom Hill be a stingy Falcons team. Okay, with no passing touchdowns. All right. Now, granted, it's the Falcons. I get it. I know they don't like to keep a lead, just like another team in Los Angeles that I am not going to talk about right now. Okay, but even with that, he found a way to make sure that Michael Thomas was involved by getting him 104 receiving yards, which I think is much more important than we give it credit for. And I think that this is. I think last week's game was some sort of an anomaly in a sense that Kamara doesn't get as many touches as he did because Taysom Hill was running the football and got into the end zone twice. I don't think that's happening again. I also think that the defense getting 8 sacks on a quarterback is not going to happen again. However, could it be on the hype train? Can I be on a hype train for the rest of the season? Sure. I think I can. Why not? And the reason why I am saying that is because he has an opportunity the rest of the season to show why he may have an opportunity, if not in New Orleans, somewhere else. Okay. I would like to tell you guys the rankings of the final defenses that he will face. If he were to play the rest of this year, this is how it would look. Broncos, they rank 13th, middle of the pack, okay? Feisty at best, but do they really scare you? Falcons are 29th, they're near the bottom of the league. They literally just played them. Oh boy. Eagles, they're 10th, but they can't seem to stop anything on offense. By offense, I mean by stopping a pass. So don't let that fool you. The Chiefs, well, we just saw what happened on Sunday night when it comes to Derek Carr and not even having a legit all-star team on offense, just having them move down the field with ease. Okay, we saw that on primetime TV with the Raiders and the Chiefs. Okay, so that's the Chiefs defense, and the Vikings are 22nd. Oh boy, they don't like stopping the pass either. The Panthers, they finish out at 18th. So am I saying that they will win these games? No. But can I say that Taysom Hill will not be the reason why they lose these games? I think so. I think that's fair. Their defense has been up and down all year long. Sometimes the offensive line is a little bit banged up. But it's this time of the year where you really want to try running the ball as much as you can because the weather is changing and it just calls for it. So Taysom Hill, Kamara, these guys, they'll be just fine. And just for that, I'm on the hype train. Why not?
All right. Get your choo-choo going. Get your little tug for you. All right. Mr. Bell, close this one out for us.
Sure. So do you realize that until about 2 weeks ago, he was also a personal punt protector? If you truly think somebody is your future, your 10 to 15-year future, he's not on special teams. He's not going to tight end meetings. He is what we call a bridge quarterback, partially due to the fact he's a 31-year-old, partially due to the fact that he's a guy that they want to use a lot of different ways. Will he finish out the year at quarterback? He'll finish out most of the rest of this year. It depends on how fast Drew Brees comes back. And if Drew Brees indeed does find his way into the NBC booth at the end of this season, I believe he will start next year at quarterback. But the definition of a bridge quarterback, there's nothing wrong with being a bridge quarterback, is that while you are starting, they're looking for the next guy. He's perfect for that, partially because he is a quote-unquote good soldier, right? He's a guy that does whatever it is you ask of him. He's a very solid human being, but he's the kind of guy that you're always looking to replace if he is your starter, right? Nobody hates Andy Dalton. And Andy Dalton had a nice little run as an NFL starter, but he should never have been that. He should have been a bridge quarterback. A team should have used the time they had Andy Dalton to find their forever quarterback, right? Their long-term quarterback. And unfortunately, of course, we just saw Joe Burrow get hurt, but that was what eventually happened. He was the connector between Carson Palmer and Joe Burrow. So that's what you're going to see happen with Taysom Hill. He's going to help them bridge the gap between Drew Brees and whoever the next one is.
Good stuff. You know, I'm hopeful, prayers go out to Joe Burrow after that injury.
Right.
Seeing him go down early in his rookie season reminded me of the aforementioned Carson Palmer. In that
same jersey number, right?
Yeah. So
it was eerie.
It was like, oh man. When I saw it, I said, oh no. If you
listen to the Bengals radio call, Dave Lapham, who also called the Kimo von Oelhoffen hit, he had literally the same action. He said, oh God. Exactly like that. The same way that he did when Carson went down.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm hoping his career doesn't chart that way after the injury, because Carson Palmer was never the same after that. He was good,
he was a good quarterback, but he was on his way to being an elite one.
Yeah.
And the problem that they face, especially Burrow going on with his future, is that he doesn't have anybody to protect him. This man has been running for his life all year long, which is why I didn't want to say anything, but I felt it coming. Something was going to happen. Now, ended up being the worst of the worst for Burrow, but that's the stuff that happens when you're not getting protected. Um, the thing that I like about Taysom Hill in his current situation is that he has tackles that will protect his blind side. He has guards that will push some people down the field when need be. He has a center that has no problem directing guys and where they need to go in terms of blocking adjustments and things of that nature. So when I said that I'm on the hype train for Taysom Hill, I'm really referring into the fact that there are guys around him that help mold Taysom Hill into him being good for right now, for the rest of this season. Not, 12 or 15 years from now, but just for this season alone. Because they could use it until Breeze come back, if he comes back. Because 11 fractures in your ribs, I don't know if you're coming back from that, but, we'll see.
Well, I'll tell you what. When they said they were going to start Taysom Hill, to me it made a little sense. And as much as I think it makes even more sense to start Jameis because of his experience, because he's not going to be as gun shy, he's also going to give you turnovers, yes, because most gunslingers are going to take that risk. There's no window too tight for a gunslinging quarterback. But when it comes down to it, we look at how Drew Brees operates in an offense. He's going to hang in the pocket until the very, 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 very last second. And what's kind of hurt Brees this year is his escape ability is diminished more than anything on him. So this is one reason why he's in the shape he's in right now. All the hits he's taken this year, because he doesn't escape as much as he used to. Jameis isn't really going to give you a lot of escapability either. So it made sense. If you're going to have somebody hang in that pocket, you want somebody that can escape, and the only person that's really going to be able to do that is Taysom Hill. So, because honestly, other than Michael Thomas, you don't have a lot of separation at wide receiver in New Orleans right now. So it did make sense from that standpoint. Now, as far as the better passer, he's not the better passer. But when it comes down to it, when that pocket is collapsing, Jameis is going to be there. Taysom Hill may not.
Yeah, so I'll think another thing is that something that nobody's brought up yet is that Taysom Hill has been more familiar with the offense than Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston just showed up over the summer. So so with Taysom, he would have much more experience in the offense and have a feel for where everybody needs to be and things of that nature. It was why it wasn't really that much of a surprise for him to come in this past week, because we all know that Taysom Hill, despite him being in different positions, we know that at the end of the day, he knows where Kamara needs to be, Michael Thomas needs to be, Jared Cook needs to be. I can go on and on. He knows where these guys need to be because he's so familiar with the offense. So,
indeed,
we'll see.
Well, we've hit the halftime point, so we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we will be right back. The Team Nuts and Bolts Sports Store is officially open. Log on to www.teamnbsmerch.com and get your t-shirts, hoodies, polos, all sizes available. Once again, log on to teamnbsmerch.com. Get yours today. That's so much better than having to read in the middle of the show. I like that. All right, so we're back, and it's time for the third quarter. All right, so it was Tua time in Miami until Brian Flores said, not so fast. It's time for a little Fitz magic. There was no magic left, but he tried. But the question is, when it comes to young quarterbacks, yo-yoing them in and out of the lineup is not always the best idea. So in this case, was it a smart idea for him to pull him, or was it a bad idea for him to pull him? So this time, John, you're going to start us off in the third quarter.
I think it was the absolute right move. I think it was a good move, and I think it was the right move. Stats don't lie, or sometimes stats do lie, but they did not lie in this case. He was 12 of 20 for 83 yards and a touchdown at that point in time through 2.5 quarters. And that's just not enough to go along with the 6 sacks. And when you're dealing with a guy who's less or right at 12 months removed from having hip surgery, you need to protect that. And I think NFL head coaches, for whatever reason, have a hard time yanking back that string. And you've seen, we just alluded to it and talked about it with Joe Burrow. Without the OTAs and the training camps and the preseason games that these QBs did not go through, these rookies did not go through, it's that 16-game NFL schedule is rough on them. And so you got to do what's best for your quarterback, what's best for your team. The Dolphins have that flexibility and that experience with Fitzpatrick being a career backup quarterback coming into games cold. He has that experience. He has that knowledge of what to do. And, Sunday, sometimes you get Fitz magic, sometimes you get Fitz tragic. And that's what happened on that last drive. But I tip my cap to Brian Flores and doing what was best for that team. That team's in the playoff hunt right now. They're doing it with a defense that's great. If Brian Flores is not in the discussion for Coach of the Year in the NFL, it's a total disgrace to that award. I think John Gruden's probably the leader in that, but Brian Flores' name needs to come up in that, because what he's doing with that roster is nothing short of unbelievable. So I think it was the right move, and I hope that it doesn't shatter the confidence of Tua Tagovailoa. But he's a professional, and I think he's going to show that come Sunday when he's out there against the Jets.
All right. Okay. Mr. Bill, come on in.
I'm going to echo some sentiments that were just mentioned. So we all know how Tua's collegiate career ended, and we just talked about what just happened to Joe Burrow. The future of your franchise is getting sacked mercilessly. And some of those hits, his body was being twisted into some I'd be nervous, I'll put it that way, if I had a lot of everything about my franchise invested in that one human person, and I saw their body getting twisted and crumpled. I would say, you know what? We're probably going to go 7-9, 8-8 this year. We might even go 9-7 and maybe scratch and claw our way into a wild card spot. But is that more important than the health of our recently seriously injured quarterback? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say the future, the next 10, 15 years is probably more important than this one game. When you look at the fact that Tua was clearly – there's times when he looks very comfortable, but there's times when he doesn't, and he did not look comfortable. He wasn't seeing things. He wasn't calling protections correctly, because you have to remember that the coach isn't just watching the TV feed. He's at ground level. He can see the facial expressions he can see everything. And he knows what they practiced, right? He remembers the things when someone's forgetting things that we went over in practice or went over in walkthrough, when they aren't seeing open receivers, when they're looking at the pass rush, when they're shaken, you need to reset your quarterback. And protect was the other term that we just heard John mention. Protect and reset. And that's what he did. He protected and he reset. So he saved Tua continuously taking a beating, which is always a good idea. And he gave him a chance to go back to seeing the field clearly, seeing the game clearly, because he was not. He was not seeing the field clearly. He was not seeing the game clearly. And he was having essentially a mental lock. So you can't undo that as a rookie. You can't undo that on the fly. At some point, he'll know how to reset himself while still in the game. But today is not that day.
Okay. Thomas, your turn.
As we all have covered and stated, it was the right move. Now, one aspect that I would like to also bring up is that, as Jeff, you stated in the question, is that sometimes when you make decisions like this, it could divide a locker room. And the reason why I bring this up is because, you know, I don't think the Dolphins are too used to winning more than 3 games. So when they got on a winning streak with Tua, it was like, whoa, it was like, what's going on? Um, and so, but when Coach Flores took Tua out, I think the shining image that was in his head was repeating in his head was Burrow's injury. Okay, he looked at what happened with Burrow, how he didn't have much protection around him, which ultimately ended his season. Um, you looked at how it was struggling for him to get the ball down the field. Okay, the dude only had 83 yards passing during two quarters. Like, it was just a struggle for Tua. Okay, and he just saw so many similarities in comparison to differences that it scared him. I think it probably scared him. It would have scared me too. Okay, um, Tua is their future. We all understand that. Now, if we're talking about the stats, he didn't play terribly bad. I know you want to, talk about the sacks and stuff like that, but this entire year has been built on bad offensive line play when it comes to Miami. And I know, I'm kind of, going against that given the fact that they didn't allow a sack on the Chargers the week before, but you know, Tua felt it 3 times against Arizona. And even with Aaron Donald in the crew, he only felt it once, but he was getting pressured a lot. So my thing is that I don't think that the sacks was you know was the end. I don't think his stats were the end all and be all for Tua. I think it was that reoccurring image of Burrow and how he got hurt. That might have triggered him getting, him pulling Tua to save him for the remaining games down the line for his career and his future. So, um, I don't like to always use, bad experiences for reasons like this, but it makes you cause a pause, especially when they're in a similar situation. The only difference is that one team is losing and one team is, fighting for a playoff spot. So I think it was the right spot for Flores to take him out. And then of course Tua, he gets another opportunity. He has another bye week playing against the Jets. So I think Tua will be just fine. I don't think his confidence was shaken by any stretch of the imagination. I just think it was more so the coach paying attention to what happened earlier in the day and just, planning accordingly.
Oh, you said Jets, so we got to put it up. Oh, yeah. Man, oh, man, what a season they're having. Somewhere between.
Season for the ages.
Yeah, somewhere between Hindenburg and Titanic. But anyway, with that being said, it's time to throw up your fours because we are ready for the fourth quarter. Man, just a few weeks ago, they were talking about a juggernaut down here in Tampa. The Bucks, the Bucks, the Bucks. They've lost 2 of their last 3, and for the most part, they were dominated in all of those games, except for the Rams game. That one was tit for tat. Overall, the mystique is now gone. This big aura of invincibility around the Buccaneers, even after they've added Antonio Brown, is gone. So the question is it just the mystique of invincibility that's gone? Or has the bubble totally burst on these Buccaneers and exposed them for something worse? So, fourth quarter, all the chips are in the middle of the table, winner take all. And we're going to start this one out with Bill. Bill, start this one out.
So you might remember, it wasn't all of you here, but some of you here. Back first show of the season that I was on, I said the Bucks aren't what some people think they are. I said they'll make the playoffs, but they're not a Super Bowl team. Here's the thing: they have a very good defense, championship level defense, and I said way back then their problem is depth on the offensive line. I said it way back then. Unless you get super lucky, and most teams don't, and you manage to not have anyone get hurt on your offensive line depth is one of the great determinants of how a team finishes its season. I knew that at some point, one or two of their offensive line would get hurt, and Errol would be revealed. I talked about this a long time ago. And we all know, how do you whip out the kryptonite, right, when you're facing Tom Brady? You get quick pressure in his face, and you flood the middle of the field. That's how every team that's given him trouble has always given him trouble. This is not news. Everyone knows how this works, right? You get quick interior pressure. You make him shuffle his feet and double pump, and you flood the middle of the field. He doesn't do a lot of deep attacking out on the outside edges of the field. He'll do that once or twice, maybe 3 times a game. But it's not how his game is built. And I talked at least a long time ago about what a strange marriage it is, because what Bruce Arians likes in a quarterback is, young Roethlisberger, right? Or a guy like, Carson Wentz even. Sort of a perfect, right? The guy who holds the ball and holds the ball and holds the ball. A lot of sacks, a lot of interceptions, but also throws that beautiful bang eight, right? That just gets there ahead of the closing safety. That's what he wants. And Tom Brady's a guy who's trying to play till he's 45 and he's already 43. He's not trying to do all that. Oh, someone's close to me? Ball's got to go somewhere. If somebody's not open, I'm throwing at your feet. That's not a Bruce Arians quarterback. That's not how Bruce Arians thinks about guys playing the quarterback position. And you might remember after the first loss, he says some things about toughness and some things about courage in the pocket and stuff like that, which you never hear people say about Tom Brady, right? Ever, ever, ever. But Tom's a lot of things, but he's not a guy trying to take hits. That's never been his thing, right? I mean, no quarterback likes taking hits. Well, most quarterbacks don't like taking hits, but Brady doesn't like getting touched. He doesn't want you to breathe on it. So if you get that quick interior pressure and you flood the middle of the field, you're going to give Tom Brady problems. Everybody knows that. Now, most teams have trouble getting to him quickly enough without blitzing. But if you have the right kind of team, and the Rams very much do, you can get there without blitzing, and you can deny him access to the middle of the field. If you do that, you're going to make Brady struggle.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Thomas, come on in.
Oh, you know what, Bill? You gave me a headache just now by bringing up that Carson Wentz. Not right now. This is currently hurting my head, but I'm gonna give this a try, okay? What's going on with Tampa right now? It's not Brady's fault. Although, by the way, 2 more interceptions because Bruce Arians is a risk it no biscuit guy. That's not the issue that I want to target right now. You're probably talking about the running game. Okay, sure. Ronald Jones should not get 10 carries for 24 yards again. That shouldn't happen. Sure. Fine. Okay. His receivers are getting open. Brady's trying to get it to him. All right. Just so happens that sometimes it's a touchdown, sometimes it's not. Fine. I want to target this defense. Okay. Mainly because of how they recently played on primetime TV on Monday Night Football. Okay? John, don't do this. Don't do this, John. Okay, that defense allowed 22 first downs to the Rams. The same offense that literally has a carousel at running back. Okay? That team has 22 first downs against that defense. Okay? Now you're probably wondering, okay, it's probably not all that bad, what was the total yardage like? The Buccaneers defense allowed 413 yards total. That is insane. That is insane. The fact that nobody, wants to talk about this enough, that's fine. You want to blame everything on Brady because he's the quarterback. That's fine. Okay. But I want to put things in this proper perspective here. 413 yards given up by any team is a problem. Okay. But that's not all. That's not all. That's fine. It's a passing league. Okay. That's fine. Time of possession, the Rams won that by holding the ball for 33 minutes and 13 seconds. Okay, they kept the ball away from Brady. All right, they made sure that whenever they had the ball, they made sure that we're gonna have dink and dunk plays. We're gonna move the pocket around. Goff is gonna move around. He's gonna move with the offensive line. He's gonna get Cooper Kupp involved. He's gonna get Robert Woods involved for halftime to settle for the field goal to take the lead or to set up to tie the game, whatever case may be. Sean McVay is undefeated, leading after halftime. Okay, that could have very well been worn away had the defense had stopped that offense once. Okay, and you know what? I don't know what else there is to say. Okay, sure, they. Ndamukong Suh, where are you? Levante David, where are you? Devin White, where are you? Chef Barrett, you're the sack leader from last year. Where are you? Okay. Now, granted, Goff threw 2 picks, but that would happen when you're throwing the ball 51 times. Okay. So in terms of what's going on in Tampa, it's a defensive issue that needs to be solved, and doesn't it get solved soon, they're going to start going into the playoffs, and it's going to be a struggle for them.
Good stuff. John, you're up to clean this up.
The short answer is the bubble burst in Tampa, and I'm going to say no. They just have a lot of talent there, and I love the answer from Thomas. That 413 yards that they gave up against the Rams on Monday. It didn't sound like a huge number to me, but I just looked, and it's a big number. It really is, and there's reason to concern about that defense. I just think there's far too many playmakers, and they get the opportunity to have the late bye next week to rest up. They're going to have a whole lot of work to do on the defensive side of the ball come Sunday afternoon against Kansas City. But if they can find a way to make plays, if Tom Brady can find a way to keep his jersey clean Sunday afternoon, they have a shot against Kansas City, because Kansas City has not been getting pressure the way they did earlier in the season. Unless Chris Jones and Frank Clark step up Sunday afternoon, Tom Brady's probably going to throw for 350 yards. So if they can find a way to get past that, their last 4 games coming out of the bye are 2 against Atlanta, 1 against Detroit, and 1 against Minnesota. Those are 4 very winnable games for Tampa Bay. So they could be on a 4 or 5 game winning streak going into the playoffs. And if they are, they're going to be that 5 seed in the NFC. So that means they're getting the winner of the NFC least in that first round of the playoffs. And that you can almost chalk that one up as a win, because you're going to have a 5 or 6 win Washington, New York Giants, Dallas Cowboy, or Philadelphia Eagle team hosting a playoff game. And I fully expect Tampa Bay to beat that team. Tom Brady is, he's Tom Brady. Until he proves me wrong again. The last time I was on the show, I was singing Tom Brady praises for the first time in 20 years of just wanting to strangle that guy. He went out and had the worst game of his career against New Orleans. But I think if they can figure out a way to keep him upright and not try to chuck it down the field like Bruce Arians does, because he is 0 for 22 over his last 22 throws over 20 yards. But if he can dink and dunk it with Antonio Brown in that running game, they're going to be a hard out. I don't think they're a Super Bowl team anymore like I did 4 or 5 weeks ago. But I think they are a strong playoff team going forward. So I'm not going to say the the bubble has burst completely. But I just like everybody else here, I don't think they're a Super Bowl contender.
Barring a major revival of Tom Brady and his arm and everything else, because honestly, what you're seeing is the 40-something-year-old quarterback. Eventually, things go. Bill Belichick knew that. He didn't pay him. Tampa Bay did. They brought in all the pieces. They said, this is an improvement over what Jameis had. Now go do better. Record-wise, he's better.
Right.
Overall, Jameis could have done this. The same team, he would have scored you more points. He'd have gave the defense a rough time to go about it. But overall, you could have had this same record with Jameis Winston. The fact of the matter is they're getting beat at the line of scrimmage by better teams. This time against the Rams, they actually held their own. They held Donald in check for at least the first half. And there wasn't this big offensive explosion. And this time he had all the receivers. He had Goodwin back. He had Evans back. He had AB. He had the tight end Gronkowski and Brake. What weapon didn't he have this time? So I think the excuses are out the window for Tampa Bay. They are what they are, and they're a good team, yes.
Right.
But they are not the juggernaut anymore. And I think that bubble is burst. I think the fear that teams had of them has gone out the window. It's just my opinion.
Okay.
Well,
my thing is this though. Like, you have to think, all right, what is going on in the offensive line that we're bursting the bubble so much for Tampa Bay? Okay.
Well, I can answer that. Ali Marpet and Donovan Smith. If those guys are not going to be 100% healthy, those are their two best offensive linemen, and they play right next to each other. So now a strength is turned into a weakness. Boom! There's the answer. It's not hard.
Right. It isn't hard, but I'll add another component. What about that rookie tackle that has to guard one of, arguably the best right ends, left ends in the league, week in and week out, in Tristan Wirfs, that, I mean, granted, he's getting better week by week, but maybe it's just me, but we're talking about Tom Brady staying clean. We're asking for a rookie left tackle to keep Tom Brady clean week in, week out against Aaron Donald and like these
Cam Jordan
Cam Jordan in the division. Okay,
sure.
These guys are going up against him one-on-one. Now he's not going to win it every time, so that explains him not getting, keeping his jersey clean. Okay, but what I'm saying is that it shouldn't be all on Wirfs to such a degree that it messes the whole offense up in the second half. It just shouldn't happen like that again.
This is a case of hindsight being 2020. In the first round, when they took
some of us called this months ago.
No. I'm talking about the scenario. It's what Thomas just mentioned about Wirfs, right? Remember in that first round when they did take Wirfs, what was still an option for them if they decided to part with a draft pick? Okay, Trent Williams was still on the trading block with Washington, so they could have had Williams. They could have had Williams for 2 years and had Wirfs at right tackle. They didn't do it. But
that's right. The reason why I'm pretty sure they thought that way is because, okay, can we take a first-round draft pick that we can grow and develop for years to come to be an all-pro, or do we want an all-pro for a rental that can't stay healthy, but when he is on the field, he can't stay on the field? Either way, we can't trust him to stay on the field. Okay.
Well,
that's always, he's hurt right now. Right. Do you want that right now, or do you want somebody that's going to stay on the field and try to give it his best shot week in, week out?
Well, as anybody who's a big Capologist fan knows, this team's going to have to come apart in about 2 years anyway. Those who pay attention to those kind of things, they can't keep paying all these people. Their quarterback is 43. Their coach is 62, 63. Whatever. So this is all going to blow up soon anyway. So I understand the whole, hey, let's just get them all together and get the all-pro team from 2012 together and see what happens. The issue is, unfortunately, older players break down. Like, let's just be clear about it. There's a reason that guys stop playing football at some point. No matter how much avocado ice cream you eat and how early you go to bed and how much pliability you have, that guy that rolls up on the back of your leg that you bounce back from in 2 days when you were 23, game day rolls around. You're like, oh, man, can you help me? Can you tell my shoe, young buck? Right? I mean, your body isn't the same. Your mind is still there, right? Tom Brady sees guys and says, oh, I can get it there. And then his arm's like, can you, though? But can you? And defenses know that, right? They know that there's parts of the field we no longer need to defend. Oh, that guy's 32 yards down the field outside the numbers. Psh, let him go. Let him run, right? I'm going to come down here and clog the middle of the field where Tom likes to do his work. Digs, crossers, taking that away from you. Now what are you going to do? So you have an issue. You have a quarterback that likes to get the ball out yesterday, right away. Why is the ball still in my hands? Somebody get open, right? That's the first thing. You have a offensive game planner and a passing game designer that really wants 24-year-old Ben Roethlisberger. That's who you really want, right? I want you to shrug off a couple of tacklers and then throw this 42-yard bang eight, right? That's what I want you to do. I want you to stiff arm this guy off you and then throw this ball 27 yards outside the numbers. Boom, right? That's what I want. But you have a guy who's not built for that. So they've tried to take half of what makes you happy and half. Anyone who's married knows how this works out, right? Well, I'll do half of what you like, and we'll do half of what I like. Now, does that always work? Not always, right? Okay, you want to go to a water park. Right, but think about this. Well, I want to go to an art museum. Well, I want to go to a water park. Okay, well, how can we combine these two things, right?
Don't mess this up, Bill. Don't mess this up, Bill. No. Well, don't mess this up.
And I'm liking the point, but I got to wrap you up because we got to get to some FaceTime here, brother. So therefore, let's get ready to announce a winner. All right. It is that time of the show. In the words of the immortal Ricky Bobby, if you ain't first, you are last. So, with that being said, this week's No Huddle Necessary first man out, Thomas, you are not going out in this time. John, I'm sorry, you're going to the back right now. So, I have to do this a little more extra. I usually leave myself a little more time than this. All right, so Thomas, Bill. Highest man wins. All the chips on the table. And right now, we will have to say that it is, I don't have the graphic anymore. So I have to say it. Fly, Eagles, fly. Thomas takes this week's episode, the Thanksgiving edition. Bill's going to the back, and I'm going to the back with him. Thomas, you got 3 minutes of FaceTime. Make it good.
Oh, boy. Happy Thanksgiving, boys and girls, children of all ages. I just want to tell everybody, enjoy the food, enjoy the games, be safe, follow the protocols. We want to try to, go through the season without having anybody be sick or anything like that. So please take care of yourselves, take care of your families. That's first off. Number two, I feel like Justin Herbert. I got the last minute call by coach saying, hey, you're starting the game against Kansas City. But it's all good. Okay, now I'm done. Doug Peterson, hey buddy, look, it's a fellow Eagles fan here, Eagles writer. I'm gonna say this right now. I want to make this very, very clear when I say this. All right. Whatever you think is working offensively in Philly, if it doesn't involve a run, it's not working. Okay? Okay? At this point, I really do prefer, with all of my heart, I prefer to have Hurts in. Okay? But if you want to be stubborn and have Wentz in, that's fine. That's fine. But can we not have another game where the running game works and then disappears? Just so we can give some light shot to Carson Wentz because he got the money. Can we not do that? I appreciate it because guess what? We're going against Seattle. You know, we got the Packers coming up, and if you really want to win this division, okay, that you claim that if we started Jalen Hurts, you know what I'm saying, you don't, that will put us in the worst. That will send the worst message to the team that the season's over. Apparently, yeah, because that definitely ups Jalen Hurts' confidence. But whatever, okay. That's fine. You just better run the ball more than 18 times. That's fine. We got Miles Sanders. We got Boston Scott. Just please, just try it. Just try it. The weather's changing. Okay, you got something to play for. Apparently, just give it a shot. Just give it a shot. Don't be stubborn unless you want to lose your job. Because I'm saying it right now. This don't work out, you might be on the hot seat. Okay, just listen to me. I'm telling you, it might work. It might work. Okay, that's all I got. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
All right. So, Thanksgiving episode in the books.
So
Liking everybody's colors.
I know what Thomas is getting Doug Peterson for Christmas. A run the damn ball hat.
Woo!
That turkey is for Doug Peterson.
Oh my goodness.
So unfortunately,
Man,
we're down to 2 games tomorrow because the Thursday night game got pushed off to Sunday.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
I mean, this COVID thing is really throwing everything out of whack. But
global pandemic. What are you gonna do, right?
Yeah. What can you say? What can you do, indeed?
Well, one thing you do is socially distance, wash your hands, wear your damn mask. You can do those things. Please, people, do those things.
Amen.
Or you can just simply listen. That works too.
Yeah. Well,
Listening works too. It's all right.
you find out many coaches, when they get that money, they don't listen to a lot of people.
I see, and that's fine. They can get all the money they want to. They will be getting that money working somewhere else.
You get a ring and that money, they usually stop listening to other people, unfortunately, and that's usually their downfall. But once again, though, at least if they do get fired before that contract ends, they're at home getting paid unless they go somewhere else. So, it's good to be the king, as Mel Brooks used to say.
The thing that's funny to me is the first thing that people used to always say about Doug Peterson, he was a backup quarterback whisperer, right?
Yeah.
Career backup. He really works well with backups. That's kind of his thing. He loves backups. I'm just saying, that was part of the selling point. Remember those days we all talked about how great he was working with backups? It wasn't that long ago, right? I seem to think it was not that long ago. But that was one of the big selling points of Doug Peterson. He really knows how to develop a backup and get him ready to play. Remember those days? Yeah, I'm just saying, that was the thing that we all loved about Doug Peterson. Remember?
You know what? You know what? I do remember that. But you want to know what I also remember? And this is how I knew that this season was going to turn out it was going to be for Philly, okay? The moment I found out that we weren't going to have an offensive coordinator, I saw this coming. I did. I just didn't want to say it. I wanted to remain optimistic. I really want to be optimistic. I really did. But the moment I saw that Doug Peterson was going to call the plays, I was like, oh boy. Oh, boy. And here we are having an oh, boy season.
Thomas,
goodness.
Listen. The good thing is you're currently in first place, regardless how the division is. Regardless how the division is, and it could be a lot worse for the Eagles.
Hey, man.
They could be these guys.
Right.
But once again, shameless plug, Monty, shameless plug. But anyway, it is Thanksgiving, so happy Thanksgiving, fellas. All the best to you and the family.
Is it kind of like winning a wheelchair basketball slam dunk championship? Yes, but you're still number one.
So I'm going to send you guys out to the back while I say happy Thanksgiving to the remaining viewers. So hang on 1 second. All right. So thank you for enjoying this Thanksgiving edition of No Huddle Necessary and our guest turkey for this week. And hopefully you guys are back next week to enjoy time with the family, enjoy some football. For me, I'll be enjoying it. So enjoy it yourselves as well. And I will see you next time. Once again, we will, despite holiday weekend, we will have another episode of Inside the Film Room as well. So be on the lookout for that as well. So this is Jeff Barnes signing off for this week's No Huddle Necessary. See you next week. Good night, take care, and happy Thanksgiving. The Team Nuts and Bolts Sports Store is officially open. Log on to www.teamnbsmerch.com and get your t-shirts, hoodies, polos, all sizes available. Once again, log on to teamnbsmerch.com.